All right. First podcast, dude.
First podcast, dude. What are we doing?
We're really doing it though, aren't we, buddy? Yeah.
So everyone knows I'm Burke. Um, we uh, we started talking to each other on Instagram about a little over a year ago. Um,
Still good? We still
yeah,
good?
yeah.
Beautiful.
Making sure my intranet is working right. All right. So anyway, yeah, we started chatting on Instagram about a little over a year ago, and have been talking about this for I don't know, like 4 months, 5 months, something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. Well, we DM each other all the time, like Burke says. My name's Kevin, by the way, and we we talk all the time on Instagram. That's how we met. I have um, a horror account, so does Burke, and for a long time, I was making a lot of posts, and I was going to a lot of cool places and seeing a lot of really cool filming locations. And man, I felt like no one gave a shit. And then one day I was at the gas station from Halloween 2018, and it was such a good day. The owners were so nice, and it was really cool. And before I left, like I went to the exact gas pump that Michael was at when he gets the mask out of the trunk. I paid $31 at the gas pump because of course I did. And I put it on my story. And then Burke reached out. He's like, "Hey, dude, I think that's really cool what you're doing." I was like, "You do, man?" Like, well, that's cool, man. I appreciate that. So I sent him
That
a
was
voice message.
that was before gas was like $4. Well, out there it's like
Yeah, right
7,
now,
6, 7.
well, out here, the highest I've seen it is 6. So on average, it's usually like 5.20 something.
We're
I
talking we're
mean,
talking we're talking like $2 gas when
yeah,
this happened. I actually
the good old
remember
days.
exactly what it was. Excuse me. It was a post that you took, like, I think with your phone. It was like a boomerang kind
Yeah,
of the door to the bathroom. And you were like sitting in your truck, I think. And
I was leaving. Yeah, I
yeah,
remember that.
I was like, dude, that's awesome, man. I appreciate that someone is taking the time and energy to go find these places and check them out. And it wasn't that like other people weren't doing that, but it wasn't as prominent with 18 yet. Um, like you really got on top of it and search those places out. No, that was pretty cool, man. So yeah, reached out to Kevin and was like, dude, that's badass. I'd love to see that stuff, but thanks for sharing with other people that are lazy and don't go try to find that stuff. Uh, but yeah, man, ever since we've talked about all things horror and masks and life and paranormal stuff and whatever. And there's a sex scene in Hellraiser going.
Hell yeah, there is, man.
Oh man, but yeah, we're fans of talking about weird shit. So we wanted to share
Yes.
those experiences with more people.
Yeah, and if you like horror, if you like talking about anything weird, anything crazy, anything that you're pissed
God
off
damn, it's
about,
hot.
if you're if if you're if you're an old geezer like us, or you like listening to old geezers gripe about the real world, I think, well, hopefully this will be right up your alley. But yeah, like, first of all, appreciate you for the kind words. I love filming locations. That's one of my biggest hobbies. I don't know what it is. I just think, and we've talked about this quite often in our chats, but there's just a certain level of energy that's left in filming locations, and there's a magic there. And I love recreating the shots and putting myself back when the film crew was there, when that magic was created. I just think that's so much fun to do. And I've been lucky to go to a lot of really cool places. And so whenever you reached out, that was awesome. And we've had a we really stayed connected and developed a really, really genuine and good friendship. And we talk almost every day about, life and horror movies and hot takes. And one thing that I can promise you, we are going to give some hot takes on this show and ruffle some
Yes.
feathers because it's needed. It's needed and it's fun to talk about and be honest. But it's good to start this, man. We've been talking about it for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad that we finally gotten it. Where it's come to fruition now. And
Yeah.
just to echo what you said, yeah, it's if you're looking for a podcast where you just are in an echo chamber, I think God, I don't know why it keeps doing that, but
You're good.
if you're looking for a podcast that's just an echo chamber for everything commercial and everything that you see on social media about the newest cool fad or movie or whatever in terms of horror and whatever else, this is not the one for you, because we're going to, like Kevin said, have some hot takes about stuff. And we like a lot of stuff that people hate.
Yeah.
So, well, maybe it is for you. Maybe you want to watch it and just think about how much you think we're wrong, which is, that's
Totally
also
fine.
fine. Yeah, totally fine. Because we do that all day with other people's stuff. So we're not really that big of haters, but but yeah, so we just kind of wanted to get on this first episode and just talk about like what we've been talking about and kind of how we linked up and just kind of what we're about. But we also want to talk about, we're going to do like a few things every episode. And one thing that
Yeah.
Kevin thought of yesterday was to talk about like what we've watched recently or something that we have never watched that we just like recently checked out. So it's actually why Hellraiser's on again. I'm actually kind of astonished that you had never seen it, but I'm not going to give you crap for it because it's one of the odd like popular horror movies from the 80s that has a huge cult following. But like you said yesterday, it's kind of like an art film in a way.
Yeah.
But it's really well done. And
Yes.
it's I don't know. I understand why you would not have seen it until recently.
I don't know why I didn't see it because growing up, like I was introduced to horror at a very young age, and my very first horror movie I ever saw was Scream, and that was my gateway drug, and fell in love with it. Super addicted to watching all the horror movies that I could get my hands on, and I remember seeing all the Hellraisers on VHS at Oak Barrel Video Store in my hometown, and I think I was just too scared to watch it growing up, and I could feel like how dark and gritty it was just from the cover. And for some reason, I just never watched it. I don't think it was on TV much either. And so it kind of just
No, yeah, it would have had to been like heavily edited, like
it's
way more than the other classics.
right. Um, but yeah, like I thought it was a good idea to talk about what we have seen recently. And I can't take full credit for that because there's a lot of great podcasts that do that. One of them is Chilling with Cult Class, big fan of Marie and Caitlin's podcast, and they have a segment where they do that. And I think that's always just a good way to start off the podcast is what have you been watching? Did you love it? Did you
Mhm.
hate it? Did you like it? And so yeah, like I saw Hellraiser last week for the first time, and I understand why people love it, albeit I was expecting a lot more Pinhead and the Cenobites than what we got. I didn't expect this weird fucked up like Telltale Heart, Edgar Allan Poe, um, like ooey gooey love
Love
story.
story, yeah,
I
this
did not
weird
expect that.
murderous like Shakespearean
Yeah,
horror. Yeah.
did not
Um
expect that.
but I mean Clive Barker. So uh I understand where it comes from. I think it is a story that is it it translates pretty well. Um Part of it does. So we talked about this a little bit. the first third of the movie, or 2/3 of the movie, has some elements to it that are cool and that I want to rewatch, but the vast majority of it is kind of boring. It's super repetitive. It's a lot of build up, but like quiet build up. It's not even really like the here and now story. It's the story of Frank and Julia. Um, like which makes sense. I get why they have to do that, but I'm in it for the last third of the movie. The last 35 minutes
Mhm.
are great. Absolutely great. If the whole film was like that, I would be a massive Hellraiser.
Yeah, I agree. It's not a super rewatchable horror movie for me, but I respect the shit out of it because of it actually has a lot of weight to it, and it has a lot of atmosphere, and it just has like a really nasty heartbeat that a lot of horror movies don't have, especially nowadays. And so it is a slow burn. It's not what you're expecting when you put in the movie Hellraiser. You're expecting a lot of Pinhead and some fucked up shit, which you do get. But I do like most of it. And to kind of echo what you said, it does get repetitive. It does kind of drag on for like 20 minutes, but I love the practical effects.
Yeah.
There's a couple shots in there that I never even saw growing up. Like, ooh, what is that? What scene is that movie from? That really stuck with me that I really, really dug. And I agree, like the last 30 minutes are just really, really cool. And so out of 10, I'd probably give it a solid 8 out of 10. I can't rewatch it a whole lot. Like I said, it's a really
No,
gritty, grimy, ooey gooey.
it's like
nasty
a it's like a once a year.
Yeah.
It's a once a year movie. And I think like I was saying yesterday, I think the last time that I watched it was actually during lockdowns.
Mhm.
I watched Hellraiser 2 around Halloween last year, but it was just kind of on in the background. Um, I didn't uh, I didn't really like pay attention the whole time.
Yeah.
Hellraiser 2 is a completely different vibe. It's really fun to watch. And it is more involved, I guess.
Mhm.
Have you ever seen any of the other Hellraiser films?
I haven't seen
Yeah,
this was
okay.
I've only seen one. I've just seen Hellraiser 1, and I'm excited for the new one that's coming out.
Yeah,
But from what I hear, Hellraiser 2 is like a big fan favorite. And then
it
after
is.
2,
It is.
they just all they get pretty bad. But
Yeah,
let
you
me
know
go see
what? Like the third one has a couple moments that are cool, some one-liners and stuff, but
Mhm.
um yeah, it's the rest of them are just got off. The one where I don't remember which it is, but it's like a more recent one. I want to say like 2000 teens where you have like the pudgy, like overweight pinhead. I don't know if you've ever seen. I think it's like Revelations or something. Yeah, it's very bizarre, man. Obviously it's a different actor, um, but yeah, man, it's a movie that if you haven't seen it and you're a horror fan, you need to watch it.
Yeah.
Um, it is one that is don't expect to sit down and like eat a pizza and have a good time because it's not a good time movie. It's like a I need to go, watch a comedy movie afterwards because it's
Yeah, I need to
so
go
bizarre.
shower. I need to go shower and watch
Yeah.
Step Brothers after watching Hellraiser.
Yeah, I need to
Definitely.
watch something a little more relaxed and funny. The reason why I keep grabbing this cup so strangely is because it is unbelievably hot and it is the heaviest mug you will ever pick up. Like I could work out with this thing, dude.
What's
So
in that, man?
tea. So I'm like holding it, like I'm trying to like support it.
Oh, what kind of tea? Like chamomile?
No, it's Earl Grey. It's black tea, right? Is Earl Grey black tea?
I've
Yeah.
never heard of Earl Grey, man. I don't know what that is.
What? That's like what they drink in England, man.
Oh shit.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I
Does it
guess
taste
it
different?
compared to what?
Like
Does it taste different?
oh, dude, the only tea I've ever had is
I mean,
sweet tea, We're
Oh,
both from the South,
well,
if you
yeah,
can't
yeah,
tell.
yeah.
Um,
Well, hey, I might end up sounding like an idiot here, but I'm pretty sure that like tea, that for iced tea is black tea.
hmm, maybe. Man, I don't know. A hot take is I'm not a tea guy.
Yeah,
My whole family,
I'm a tea guy.
I grew up and every Sunday we would go to my grandparents' house for lunch and they would just drink gallons of sweet tea. And I'm just like, I I'm good. I can't drink it, but they
Dude,
loved it.
yeah, I can do like I can do half and halves or like Arnold Palmer's.
Hmm.
But I can't I cannot do straight sweet tea. And I'm
No.
from the sticks. So that's kind of sacrilege to say that. But
Okay.
like there's restaurants here that like if you go out in the country that they do not have anything but sweet tea.
Mm,
Um
that's crazy.
I know, man.
Dude,
Yeah, so the next episode I gotta figure out what the fuck is going on with my connection.
honestly,
It's
if we
weird.
probably listen to it on the playback, it's probably playing through fine. It's just
Is it okay?
probably, yeah.
I got you. Well, we'll insert some weird videos. Like we'll do cut scenes. I'm kidding. Um, so back to Hellraiser. You said something yesterday about it, and I said it earlier about it being like an art film kind of. Um,
Yeah.
and if you watch it and like catch the weird little shots that they put in, what with like the flower blooming and like just there's just like weird random shots that they
Yeah.
have um that are like just bizarre that you wouldn't find that in other like you're not going to see that in Friday the 13th. You're not going to see that in Halloween. You're not going to you might kind of like John Carpenter was a little more artistic, I think. But
Mhm.
you're not going to find that in Friday. You're not going to find that in A Nightmare on Elm Street. I just think a lot of thought was put into the making of this film, and I'd like to know like how much time they spent with like reshoots and shit. Like, there's no way that a lot of this is one take. Like,
Mm.
this had to be a very difficult movie to film because it looks like a lot of it is a set, but the more I thought about it, the more I looked at it, like that would be a really difficult set to make look that accurate, like a kind of dilapidated house. So I'm
Yeah.
wondering, I didn't spend the time to look it up last night, but um I'm wondering if it is an actual house that they filmed that in.
I should
Which
know this. I should have looked it up too. And I will after this podcast, but I don't know. I can't tell. Usually I can tell if something is a set or if it's an actual location that they set decked. But completely agree. It's just its own entity. It's like it's I haven't seen a horror movie quite like Hellraiser.
Mhm.
Maybe I just haven't seen enough horror movies. But Jacob Slatter kind of comes to mind, but that's been so long since I've seen Jacob Slatter.
Yeah,
But
that is true.
there's a level that this movie sinks down into that a lot of horror movies don't, and it has a lot of depth to it,
Yeah.
and that's something that I really dug, and it's hard for me to keep my full attention on movies nowadays. But this was one that I I couldn't really look away from because I was really impressed with the practical effects, the thought that went into each scene, and the way it was shot and directed. And I thought the story was really good for the most part. It does get a little repetitive, but I really did appreciate all the thought that went into this horror movie. And now I need to watch Hellraiser 2.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you do. Yeah. There's a couple scenes in Hellraiser 2 that you get a kick out of. Like they're kind of just goofy, but it's super entertaining. There's like some very rewatchable parts in that movie. You were saying like how I don't remember the word you just used, but like complex, I guess this movie is.
Mhm.
Um, which, like I was just kind of saying, that's hard to find, especially in like early horror, um, it- for like slashers and stuff. But not like people are probably gonna get mad at me saying that, but um, I guess what I'm getting at is there are parts to this movie that kind of came together to be something more than what it is at face value, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Um, like you can watch it and take it at face value and be like, "Wow, that's fucking scary," um, or you can watch it and kind of like read between the lines, and there's a lot of like subtextual weird shit. Some of the lines, like we had talked about, when after Frank uh, takes over the dad's body
Mm-hmm.
and he's about to get ripped apart, he says Jesus wept.
It's so
He like
cool. It's
licks
such
his
a cool
lips.
shot.
He's like getting ripped apart, and he licks his lip. Um, so that's a biblical thing. It's a quote from the Bible. And it was actually I read that it was ad libbed by the actor. Which is crazy. Like, what a weird thing to like have pop in your head while
Yeah.
you have all these prosthetics and you like so, that's such a weird thing, man. But it made that moment so impactful and crazy and scary. Um, like you can just, I don't know, man. It's just like the everything that comes together in that scene, in like that finale, um, is really cool. It's fun to watch, and I really do love the ending of Hellraiser. I think it's very well done, and I am a big hater of the ends to a lot of horror movies. So um, we talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
There's people they're so bad at writing, well, horror movies in general, but especially endings, dude. Um, which I mean might lead us into our next discussion.
We're gonna
Speaking of
get to it.
ending,
Yeah, yeah.
speaking of endings, yeah. But yeah, Hellraiser, great ending. Like I said, maybe I guess I could say second half, but definitely last third of the film. I'm a huge fan of. I could watch it frequently. I just can't watch the whole movie frequently.
Agreed. And even though I missed out on Hellraiser scaring the shit out of me at a young age, and um I don't know. I am glad that I finally did see it at this point in my life where I have a better uh I don't know, view of so many different styles of horror, and especially movies from that era, because they're just different. There's something different about them, and that one felt ballsier than a lot of other movies from that era. And
Mhm.
so I think it just added more appreciation to an already appreciated horror cult
Yeah.
classic. And I dug it, and I recommend it if you haven't seen it.
Yep. Yep. You know what? It's got like, this is gonna sound weird, but to me, it has like kind of some like Rosemary's Baby vibes a little bit, like just the unnervingness, and
Mhm.
um, it's just really bizarre. Have you ever seen the movie The Sentinel? It's a
I
late
have not
'70s
seen
horror.
Rosemary's Baby or The Sentinel.
Okay, okay. So The Sentinel's, it's a weird one, man. It's a hard watch, but I would be surprised if, depending on who watches this, if a few people have seen The Sentinel more than once, because I know it's kind of like a B horror, but it's like a '70s horror. '70s horror is so weird.
Yeah,
It's so hit or miss. But yeah, it's you need to watch Rosemary's Baby, by the way. But
I do.
it just has weird, it's like surreal kind of bizarre vibes, and um, I dig those parts in this movie, man.
Mhm.
I think it's fun and scary and just bizarre, and yeah.
Well, real quick, while we're on the subject of weird, bizarre, nasty, you haven't seen this movie yet. I was actually lucky enough to go to an early screening of the movie Barbarian, which just came out last week. And I want to kind of just touch on it a little bit, spoiler free review, which I don't know how the hell I'm going to do. What I can say is that if you're interested in seeing it, don't watch any more trailers. Go into it, and everyone's saying this, but it's so true. Go into it as cold and as blind as possible because you're not going to expect what the fuck happens in this movie. It's one of the best theater experiences I've had in over a decade, and I cannot tell you how goddamn refreshing that is. Because every time I go to the movies, there's either drunk people, there's people that are on their phones, literally on their phones, just texting and scrolling, lighting up the whole room. The screen's too dark. You know, you're getting the point. I just haven't had great theater experiences, and so I got to go to this movie, and the whole crowd was into it. Everyone was screaming when you're supposed to scream. Everyone was quiet when you're supposed to be quiet. People would laugh after scary moments. It was just, it felt like I went back 20 years ago. And that was just really, really, really refreshing. And so, Barbarian, I don't even know what I can say. I really, really dug it. It's not going to be for everybody. It's going to be very polarizing. Big Justin Long guy. He's fantastic in this. He's always fantastic.
Can you like compare it to anything?
I could, but it would spoil it.
Oh, would it? Okay.
It
Okay.
would. It's a very creative horror movie that kind of comes out of left field. There are some tropes that it borrows some tropes and some elements from horror movies that we've already seen. And so it's not like super fresh or original, but it is in its structure and how it's paced and it's directed. And there's two scenes in this. One scene in particular, I haven't jumped out of my skin that bad since maybe The Ring in 2013 or 2003, maybe 2004.
Yeah, The Ring was 2002
Maybe one. It's early 2000s.
or 3. Yeah, let me look it up. Now I'm interested.
But there's
And
one scene.
I know what scene in The Ring that
Yeah.
you're talking about, by the way.
There's one scene in Barbarian that absolutely scared the hell out of me, and everyone else too. And go see it for that scene alone because you're not going to be expecting it. And there's another really cool shot that I want to talk
2002.
about. 2002. There's another really cool shot in Barbarian that I want to talk about, but I can't. I think the movie is each act, the first, the second, and third act, are so different from each other, and I don't know what else I can say, but I do suggest going to see Barbarian and go into it with no expectations. Don't watch any more trailers and just have a good time. And it's a weird one. It's a nasty one, and it's I don't know if you're gonna like it. I don't. I feel like I know what your reaction is gonna be, but it is a roller coaster. It's definitely a roller coaster of a horror movie. It's not super rewatchable in my opinion, but it's a hell of a ride. And check it out. Go support it.
Dude, I'm gonna try something real quick on here. I just realized that we're like cropped. So let me Oh, look at that. Wow, you know what though?
My room's way cooler than yours, man.
That's right, dude. I don't.
It's definitely not. Look, I tried to even set this up in the back just to get some horror stuff, and you came to see it.
There you go. There you go. I don't want to get sued or have this removed from YouTube, so I'm gonna pop off the copyrighted movie.
Yeah.
Although we get a bunch of copyrighted shit.
Trying to hide these paintings, man.
Those are cool, dude. Those are like very whatever. I don't.
You like them, man? That one looks like a magnet.
Yeah, it does kind of. Did you bring those with you?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
If you say that you think that I might not dig it, then I might not dig it because you got a pretty good idea of like what
I just
like.
know you. I think.
But
I think I don't want to put thoughts in your head and make you already have a early review of something you don't even know anything about yet. But I think you're gonna feel the same way I felt about it. Um, I think it's really well made. There's some really cool, nasty shit in it. There's some cheese in it, but there's some things that are um it's just a slider ball. It's a slider pitch of a horror movie. It's just like, what the fuck is what is going on here?
Yeah,
Where are we going?
I like some of that stuff though. I mean, and there's stuff
Yep.
that there are things. So just so everyone knows, there are things, hot takes that Kevin and I individually have among each other. I there's several films that I like that we've talked about that Kevin does not really like all that much. Um, and it works both ways. There's a few things he likes that I'm not really huge on, but um,
That's art, man.
yeah, exactly. It's
That's
subjective.
subjective and
The
it's
big
cool.
ones are what matter, though. The big ones. We're both huge fans of Halloween, the franchise in general, minus some recent ones.
Yeah.
We're huge fans of Scream. Pretty much the franchise as a whole, minus a recent one.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
which are huge hot takes right now in the horror community.
Mhm.
I feel like a dork saying that. So I wanted to talk about that real quick too. So the horror community, like for us, it's kind of weird. Like, yes, we're a part of it, because we interact with people that are a part of it and collect masks and paint masks and watch horror films all the time and go to conventions
Hey,
and
that's a cool name, man.
what's that?
Watch horror films. That's
Watch
great.
horror, yeah, watch horror films. Ah, yeah, man, someone should use that on their
Hey,
Instagram.
that sounds really cool.
uh, but at the same time, we also disconnect ourselves. Like we don't like eat, sleep, and breathe
Yeah.
horror constantly. Like we have other hobbies and we talk about that with each other too. And that's gonna, I mean, just kind of innately kind of bleed through into this from time to time. So if we go off on tangents about stuff, sometimes that's why. But I think everyone needs like a healthy way to disconnect themselves from one specific area or hobby or art or whatever. And we do that. Do. Uh,
Doo-doo.
so yeah, if we go off on tangents, we'll try to make them entertaining. But we this is not like our sole focus of this is not to blab about horror movies for an hour every time. So we want to like share like Kevin said early on, like share gripes and funny stuff and stories and experiences. We're probably going to delve into some paranormal stuff a little
Mhm.
bit. Might delve into some, I guess it's still paranormal, but like beyond just like spirits and earthly things, like maybe some UFO stuff, some weird, trippy, like existential crisis
Yeah,
shit.
like what the fuck is reality? Like we have so many weird talks. Like
Oh
the other
man.
the other day we were just talking about like, dude, you ever think about like what is this right now, man? And we get on like a 30-minute tangent of yeah,
We
man.
do. We
And
do. And
it's
then we're
and so
like, oh, by the way, dude, I outbid that guy for that mask on eBay."
I'm like, oh man, that's sick. Did you
Oh,
get it?
cool, dude.
And we go right back to it. But yeah,
Yeah.
very well said.
But we will talk about we're huge. We we have a very huge respect for that art and the people that make these things that are iconic and that we love. And Kevin's got a really fucking badass one behind him there. Um, or actually two, I guess.
They're really far away,
Yeah,
but
they're badass
if you're
though.
not if I don't know if we're gonna show a video of this, but what he's referring to is I got a Brother's Return from Father Phantom Studios in the UK, which is Halloween H2O mask. Fucking love that mask. A lot of people don't, but I personally love it. And then I have my my white satin from Rob Zombie's H2, which is like my holy grail, which I got from Jordan DeFork, as well as Quiet on the Set. They both had a hand in making it look as cool as it does. And I'm sure at some point we're going to talk about both of those movies, especially H2,
Oh yeah.
because gosh, I adore that movie, man. I love it so much. And
We love those. We love
it means so
both
much
of
to both of us. Yeah.
Rob Zombie's films are like masterpieces in our opinions, but we'll discuss that in depth. We'll have an entire episode, probably more than one. We're gonna have some people on to talk about it. People that we know are also huge fans, and maybe a couple people that we know aren't. Because I think that'd be fun. I have a couple Rob Zombies here that I did. They're not super accurate, but I kind of just went and winged it and did them kind of how I pictured them in my head, and they came out pretty cool. So those are
they came out very cool. He's being modest. Burke is very talented with rehauling and photography in his art, and I'm gonna give him a shout out because he's very good with his craft, and he sent me one of his masks that he did, just being cool, and sent me one. And you're good at your stuff, man. And so
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. But those are just to shout them out. Those are both Jamie Grove sculpts and pulls. But Jamie Grove does a fantastic job with his mask too. The blanks and the painted versions, they're badass. He's got an Etsy store, and he's, I think, JSGFX or something like that on Instagram.
I think that's
and
right.
what is it, the Dufork or the Dufork?
I think it's DeFork.
DeFork.
The DeFork. DUFFOURC, I believe.
His stuff is top notch, absolutely top notch.
He's awesome.
Because he did a bunch of the escape masks too, right?
I think he's done everything. He's really talented. I believe he's based in New Orleans, and I'm sure you already know who he is. But if you don't, go check out the DeFork on Instagram and give him a follow, man. That guy's great.
Yeah. We'll shout out people that we know deserve to have their pages and their stuff looked at. And
if you deserve it.
Yeah, if you deserve it. Or people that maybe sometimes we don't think deserve to have their pages looked at. That's for another episode. But anyway, man, I think we should get into it. We're about 40 minutes in, and I think it's time.
Time to talk about the Blumhouse trilogy.
Time to talk about the Blumhouse trilogy, dude.
Let's do it, man.
So disclaimer, we are not fans of the last two Halloween films that have graced the silver screen. And it's not, I always say this, I'd rather have a Halloween film than no Halloween film. So in that sense, I appreciate being able to experience a Halloween movie in theaters and enjoy that experience. But at the same time, I don't love the product, and I feel like I was kind of like gypped in a way for how big it is and how successful it's been. It's just kind of like, it's disappointing to me that it wasn't more than what it ended up being.
Yeah, very well said. And even though that these movies are not for us, if it's for you, that is okay. And I am not here to try to convince you that these movies are absolute trash. But in my opinion, they are trash. With all due respect to everyone that had a hand.
You spent like 30 seconds. 30 seconds. If they're for you, it's cool. But guess what? You're wrong, and they're trash, and you're probably trash. I'm kidding. If you like Halloween 2018 and Kills. You're not
You're wrong.
trash. You might be. You could be trash, but you like trash movies.
But I, in all sincerity, like, it is fucking hard to make anything in video production. It is so damn hard. And so, um, everyone that worked on that, I I appreciate and I respect to a certain degree, and I just understand how much work goes into it. But the the product that was produced is it's just not for me. It's not something that that I want to see in a Halloween story. And if you were going to step up to the plate and you were saying, "Hey, listen, we are retconning everything after the OG. Everything that happened after that does not exist. We are making a direct sequel to John Carpenter's classic, and we are going back to its roots. We are making it spooky. We're giving it back, getting it back to that 78 feel where it's, it's the boogeyman and it's this and it's that, and you are really, really talking a big game, and then you deliver something that is so far from that OG from Halloween 1978. It pisses me off,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's it's disappointing, it's confusing, it's annoying,
It's really
and
confusing, dude.
it's just weird. And Halloween 2018 has grown on me since I've seen it. I remember when I first saw it at the theater, I was sinking in my chair because of how much I was cringing at that movie, at its script, at the choices that it made, at how it tainted so much that came before it, and how it was silly, and it made a mockery of the franchise that we all know and love, in my opinion. And it's not something that I would have made. It's not something I would have greenlit. It's not something that I expected from a Halloween movie. And so I'll stop there and let you kind of
Yeah,
give your
yeah.
thoughts
So
on that. But
what's
not a big fan of it.
what's weird to me is that for something as big as the Halloween franchise, that it seems like it was like almost this rushed, and I don't mean the production. I mean the ideas behind creating more Halloween films that were intended to be in line with, or that are in line with 1970, with John Carpenter's Halloween. And I think it's weird that they went the direction that they went and made the choices that they made
Mhm.
in 2018 that locked them into some concepts for kills um, that were just confusing. They're confusing choices, um, like the confirmation that that Lori isn't Michael's sister, and that was a whole that was just made up as Allison and her friends are walking, um, and then setting it up to that Michael's hunting Lori, and she's built this like ridiculous compound, and is a huntress like redneck prepper woman.
Mhm.
I thought it was really weird that they did that. And it's like what I'm getting at. It's like the big pieces of the puzzle for those two films don't fit in line. They are completely detached from the story that John Carpenter and Deborah Hill developed, and I just think it's weird that they didn't like try to just build on what was already so great about 1978, and that they went this direction with it. And I
Mhm.
get it, you want to make things your own, and it is art, and you need for it to be something that audiences want to see, and it can't just be niche horror fans. It has to be a general audience. I get all those things, but at the same time, fuck that. This is Halloween. This is an absolute classic film. Beyond it just being a horror film, classic horror film, it is a classic film. Like it, Halloween did things that no horror film had ever done yet, and I just, it's like disheartening to sit down and watch a film called Halloween 2018 with the namesake of my favorite film ever made,
Mhm.
and sit there and think, oh, okay, so
It's so
that's
yeah, it's just baffling, because you go and you read these interviews with Danny McBride, with David Gordon Green, and they talk about how much they love
yeah,
the Halloween franchise and how much this means to them. And you
that they're
watch and you
fans, they grew up on it, blah 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 blah
yeah,
blah. It's like,
and you watch 2018 and you're just like, "Are you serious? Like, are you is this a are you actually serious, or are you not?" Because, man, Halloween 2018, now it did it on paper, it was very, very successful worldwide, like, shattered
oh yeah,
like,
oh
it's
yeah,
wildly successful, and there's a lot of people that will pound the table for that movie, and, there is proof that it was very successful, but was it successful because it's a good movie, or was it successful because of the name of this movie and
right,
its legacy? And
right.
so there's a lot of elements to why it was so successful, and so, um but going back to how weird 2018 is, like, it's such a departure from, um now there's a lot of weird installments in the franchise, and I'm not saying I don't want a different take on the Halloween story, but if you are retconning everything and you're going back to the roots, then do that. And they
And that was
they went
a big part of the marketing for the movie and
yeah,
everything too. So I mean, you can't do that leading up to it and then create something that is in no way, shape, or form in line with 78.
yeah. I just don't dig it, man. I just don't dig the story. I don't believe the story. I've said this many, many times. It just feels like a really glossy, um, overproduced, expensive fan film,
Yeah.
and it does not feel in any way, shape, or form like Halloween. Nothing about it feels like Halloween. You have a lot of callbacks. Each of these movies in the Blumhouse trilogy are just exposition dumps. It's just weird. It's just really weird. It's really forced. It's really just disappointing
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
confusing. But yeah,
There. So not so that we're not just completely bashing. Again, we're not selling the hard work of the production team, of everyone involved
right.
in the pre-production, the production, the post-production, the actors and actresses, anyone. Um, they all obviously work hard and they're great at their craft. And although I do not, like, just unequivocally can't stand this version of Laurie Strode, um, Jamie Lee is a fucking boss when it comes to. I mean, she's great. She obviously puts a lot of her heart and soul. I don't know if you saw that interview
She
where
cares. She
she
cares.
cares. She loves this franchise too, and I know that um, she she didn't write this character for these films. Um, she gets to play this character.
Yeah.
So I mean, does she play a uh prepper huntress woman well? Yeah, she does.
Mhm.
um it's not Laurie Strode, but she plays that character well.
Yeah.
Does she have weird one liners? Yeah, she does, that are, but again, she didn't write the fucking script. She did not write the details out of this character. She was given a product and told, reproduce this as an actress. So um again, not selling anyone involved in it. In fact, there are parts of it, like there are moments that you can like, I don't know if it's something in the writing or if it's something in the direction or something in the cinematography, but there are moments that pop that kind of like push their way through the silt of everything else, and um you're like, whoa, this is cool. Like I like this. And
Mhm.
then it goes away.
It's so
And it
fleeting.
goes right back to the
Yeah.
whatever bullshit it was going on before. And there are several of those moments. There's some scenes that are great. But in totality, like it's overwhelmingly meh. Like,
Yeah.
uh, one thing I do want to point out, um, I'm sure we'll bring him up a lot just because of mass and stuff like that. But um, the the work that was put into recreating the original mask into what it you know would have become for 2018, really cool. Um, Christopher Nelson and his team did a cool job doing that, and it came up with something menacing and cool. Um, and props to them. Hats off to them for that.
Yeah.
I think that is an incredible art to take an idea like that, just on the basis of something so massively iconic and important to horror fans, and be given the task to, hey, turn this into what it was going to look like 40 years later. That's got to be overwhelming and a monumental task. And I think that him and his people did a very good job at that. And so, that's, there you go. You wanted a
Well,
positive note.
and I echo that. I think he and his team did do a really great job, and you can tell that they care. You can tell that so many people that had a hand in this Blumhouse trilogy, from top to bottom, really do give a shit. But there's something in there that is not working, and a big element that's not working.
Hmm.
And I think it's just the writing. I think the cinematography is really well done. I think there's parts in these movies that are so cool and so good, but the majority of it is just not there, and it's so odd. And I wholeheartedly echo your statements on Jamie Lee Curtis. She's great, man, and it's gonna be emotional seeing
Yeah.
that last movie. I
Yeah.
can kind of feel it coming, and
Mhm.
you
It's
know,
got to be
I
weird. It's got to be weird to like she says in that interview, man. Not to cut you off, but just like for those of you that haven't seen the interview I'm talking about, she
mhm,
was interviewed by um, now I can't think of who it was, but it's all over Instagram. And she talks about her legacy as Laurie Strode and
yeah,
Halloween, and um, gets very emotional about leaving the group of people she's been making films with for the last 6 years, and B, the ending of this franchise for her, and her story and her timeline.
yeah.
That's got to be so weird, man. That's got to be. I mean, that film, like, she's been in a lot of great films, but I mean, it's a defining character.
She's Halloween.
Yeah,
Like she's Miss Halloween,
yeah,
and that's
she is the scream queen.
she is. And there's multiple interviews with her where she gets emotional and choked up and she cries, and that is so cool. Like she cares that much, and that means so much to me and to so many people. And so um, that's why it hurts so bad because this is the most
I
unlikable
know,
Laurie
dude.
Strode is in these movies.
She's got a Halloween mom vibes. She's like a Halloween. I don't know how else to explain it.
She
I don't know, man.
yeah, like obviously well, not obviously. I don't know if I've even talked about this yet, but with the H2O mask, I'm diehard H2O fan,
Yeah, we both
and
love H2O. So
Love it so much. I think it's absolutely perfect. One of my favorite movies ever. And that that Laurie Strode storyline, Michael Laurie Strode storyline ends with that movie. I think it's the perfect way for it to end. And it's hard to top. Like it's hard to top the way they continued Laurie Strode's character in H2O. And it just felt so natural and it felt right. It felt organic and it felt true and it felt like the next progression of Laurie Strode's character and how she finally confronts her fate and her fear, and it builds up to this crescendo of overcoming that and facing that. It was fucking. I get goosebumps talking about it.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so when you like, where do you go from there? And so I don't know what I would have done for 2018, but I wouldn't have made her a Linda Hamilton doomsday prepper that gives constant monologues and is just in your face all the time. But
yeah. It's not
it
Laurie
is what it
Strode.
is.
So
Right.
we'll do an episode on a lot of the thoughts that we had about kind of like what direction we would have taken the beginnings of the timeline from 1978 into 2018 or today. We talked about that a lot last year, dude. I can't believe that was last year. That was like
Yeah, it
this
was like 10
time.
minutes ago. It was
That
weird.
was like so we had some pretty cool ideas that I think would have translated into films that Halloween fans would have really enjoyed.
Mhm.
Um, so we'll have to do an episode where we talk about that stuff. But yeah, you brought up the idea of fate. It is completely missing from these last two films. So I like the okay, so in addition to like what we were talking about, just the fleeting moments that are fun and feel like Halloween, there are a few scenes that I do like. I know I like one much more than Kevin does, but um, flashback scene's cool in Kills. It's really like one of two scenes that I like in that movie. Um, and it sucks that they, from my understanding, shot like 30 minutes of flashback stuff and it was cut down to
Yeah.
like 8. Um, I really do enjoy the theatrical ending. I like the although the whatever the monologue and that whole thing, it's whatever. It's cheesy. Um, but I like the vibe to it. I like the unkillable thing. Uh I like that Karen dies. I mean, um, and regardless of whether or not I like the character, like it's it gives you that like sense of dread that you get from in 78 when you have the still shots um, of the places in Haddonfield and it's Michael breathing in the mask. It's a shape
Mhm.
breathing. I get that like dread feeling from Michael standing in the window just staring out. Um, and I think that those two things were fun and felt Halloween and I enjoyed them. But everything in between just feels like this like commercial, goofy, like plastic playhouse bullshit.
Yeah. Especially Kills. Kills,
Yeah,
because the majority of it was shot on a
on a
soundstage,
soundstage.
and
Yeah.
you can just feel that as
Mhm.
opposed to being having it shot on location. And another thing I wanted to bring up um, is that you mentioned the scene where they take away the brother sister storyline. They
Mhm.
remove that. They establish that very even in like marketing. They were like, they're not brother and sister. This is you know
Yeah.
they're not brother and sister. And so they bash us over the head with that. And then even in 2018, so they take that aspect away. So it removes a lot of purpose and weight and story to this story. And so we're like, okay, so where are we going now? He's just a guy. He's just a guy. Well, then we get Sartain, and he comes in. He's like, his pursuit of Laurie Strode is what keeps him alive. And you're like, okay. And so he's not after Laurie. They're not brother and sister, but he is after Laurie.
Mm-hmm.
And then in Kills, we have the whole he's after
So
me.
I'll forget this if I don't point this out real quick.
Okay.
Okay, Sartain does that whole thing, the pursuit of Laurie Strode, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he's the reason why the shape finds where Laurie is. So that's like huge. How does that make any sense? If he has some like weird supernatural like drive to find Laurie or do whatever he's gonna do with Laurie Strode, then why in the fuck does he need like some 7-year-old psychiatrist to show him the way to like get his
Right.
leash and
Because Sartain's the one that crashed the bus. That's
Right.
all he needed to do at that point. If that's what Michael was going to do, he didn't need to throw him in the back and drive him to
No.
Laurie's fucking house.
That
So
was like the dumbest shit, dude. Like I hate that whole thing. Like there's no I can't even get into
It's
it.
not
Man.
needed.
It's
not
the
needed.
dumbest. It's the dumbest. And it reminds me something that that is like the biggest plot hole. And for those of you that didn't realize this watching Kills, I'm sorry because I'm gonna fuck up the first 5 minutes of Kills for you. You'll never be able to unsee this. So someone gets stabbed in the neck, right? There's a gentleman that gets stabbed in the neck, and he just happens to, dude. I don't even know if I want to do that. Like I feel like people are gonna be so mad. Do you think?
You've already opened the box, man. You opened up the box. We came. You gotta say it.
Dude. Yeah. What? Yeah. You opened the box. We came. Is that what it is?
I think so.
Okay. So I'm gonna do something real quick, and I'm gonna see if this is. I'm gonna go on Reddit real quick, and I want to see if there are or if there's threads about this exact thing that I'm about to bring up. Because if there are, I will delve into it real quick. If there aren't,
so is this a H18 thing or is this a Kills thing?
both.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. This is Hawkins, right? This is Hawkins and Sartain.
Yes. I didn't want to bring up the name at first because I didn't even want to do that. But
boy, that opening to Kills was cool too.
Do what?
I'm just ragging on Kills with the very first thing we hear Hawkins say is he needs to die.
God, that's
ridiculous.
That's what I'm talking about. All right. So there are a bunch of threads on Reddit. So we'll just delve into it. Okay.
Here we go.
Again, I apologize. You're never going to be able to unsee this. Hawkins is stabbed in the neck by Sartain, right? And then fucking run over with a Chevy Tahoe. Right? Okay. That's all very clear.
Yeah.
All right. So when he wakes up, remember, let's not forget that Hawkins hit Michael with a Chevy Tahoe before he got stabbed and run over, right? So for all intents and purposes, Hawkins probably thinks that Michael is fucking dead in 2018 before he is stabbed and run over.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Hawkins then wakes up and Kills. And the first thing he starts shouting about is, it needs to die. It's with that whole dude. That scene doesn't need to be there. It's useless. It's confusing, and it's a big plot hole because now you have this guy that just hit Michael. The last thing that he remembers doing is running Michael Myers over with a Chevy Tahoe. And then somehow he knows that Michael's not dead. And like like the vibe that you get is that like he just magically knows what's going on somehow, and he's been laying in the fucking street bleeding out of his neck for the
Right.
last like 30 minutes. You know,
Right.
it's like what? How do you
Well,
miss that? How do you miss that, dude?
you make a good point, and that kind of coincides with the point I was making. Is that the writing's bad and it contradicts itself
Yeah,
time after time? Like I was saying, in 2018, you have that they're not brother and sister, and but maybe his the reason why he's alive is Laurie Strode, and you're like, it's kind of weird, but I'll roll with
oh,
it.
okay,
And then in Kills, Laurie's just off her rocker, and she's like, "He's after me," and she's really whiny, and then everyone's like, "Boo! He doesn't want you,"
yeah.
and they're
And
like,
then yeah, well then you
"Loser."
got Hawkins. You got Hawkins. No, no, it's actually me. I'm the reason
Yeah,
why.
and so he's not after Laurie, and she's like, "Oh, well, that's weird." And so he's not after Laurie, but then in the latest trailer for Ends,
Yeah,
she's like right in Allison's face.
we both need to die.
She's like, maybe the only way he can die is if I die too. And it's so much contradiction. And so I'm glad that you brought up the Hawkins thing because that makes no sense.
How
And
does
the writing's just rough. Yeah.
how does oh, okay, why does it take Hawkins? I mean, I guess it would be like hours because of the timeline of 18 and kills, but why does it take him up until he's next to Lori in the hospital room to be
Why is
like,
he
no,
next to Laura in the hospital room,
I
by the
yeah,
way?
I don't know, I don't know. To tell her to bring up to anybody. Oh no, actually, this is all my fault. I didn't shoot him in the back of the head.
It's so
Like
weird.
what?
That was someone's
What?
baby boy. And
What,
then he's
dude?
like,
Like what a weird,
it's so weird. And then
what
he's
a
just like
weird.
flirting with her. And he's like, remember that one time we
Back in
but you wanted Ben Tramer. And she's like talking to the nurse about making it a double. It's just weird. It's such a weird movie.
that is really weird, dude. Dude,
Kills, man. Kills feels like I the only scene I like in Kills is Sandra's death. And I don't know her husband's name. Is it Frank, maybe? I don't remember. Maybe it's not even said in there. Maybe it is. It doesn't matter.
I don't remember.
But the scene where Sandra is in the foreground and Michael's blurred out in the background and he's choosing his
Stab.
knives. That
Yeah,
scene is
that's cool.
awesome.
That's
That
cool.
scene is fucking cool. And I wish the rest of the movie would have been like that. I don't I just don't like anything else in that movie. I don't like the firefighter kung fu fight.
No, no.
I
You
don't
know
like
what?
anything. I don't like the returning legacy characters. It's not needed.
No, I don't either. They could have done it in a way that was way more effective, by the way. But
Yeah.
if they were gonna do it, if they committed to that, man, we might as well bring this up. Um, we had a like prolonged discussion about the firefighter scene and like Michael reappearing for kills and how they could have done that, and it would have been like so effective and cool and um, really fun and violent and gory. Uh, so instead of the goofy like Michael comes out onto the porch, like which it's cool, it looks cool, it's like menacing, it looks cool, but it's so stupid after that, like him getting sprayed by the guy and him battling like 10 firefighters and yeah, it's silly. So what we talked about that would have been really cool is if Michael basically like ambushes them and lures them like they're working the fire in the house and he's just killing them one by one in the house and like using the fire and like the confusion and the chaos to his advantage and just like fucking these dudes up in this house and like re-escaping that way.
Mhm.
It would have just been more realistic and um more fun, I think. Like I mean, I know a lot of people love that scene and they think it's
Yeah.
fun, but it to me it's like watching a video game. Like it's just it's not it didn't translate for me. And I think I think by making it more like the shape the shape is the shape because he hides in the shadows and like creeps, you
Mhm.
know? So why all of a sudden is he just like stomping out?
There's so many reasons why it's weird. Like it's weird because it looks weird. Like a lot of it does look cool. Like I'll give it that. It's beautifully shot. But I think the choreograph, the way it's did I say that right? Choreograph,
Choreography?
choreography.
Choreography? Is that a word?
Fuck man, I don't know. The way the way Michael's kung fu and people just looks weird. It
It
just looks
is.
weird to me.
It's
That's
weird.
not Michael Myers. And
No.
if this is Michael Myers from 1978, he's not going to do that. And so I agree. I think the way that you would have done it was better. And in my opinion, less is more. I think even if you show him maybe stepping out of the front door and then you cut to a different scene and then maybe we follow the sheriff and the squad to the house and everyone's dead. He's gone. Everyone's dead. I think the thought of uh, what the hell happened here? How did he do this? Is cooler than seeing him do what he did. In my opinion, I like leaving things up to theater of the mind and imagination, but
Yeah.
I just didn't like the way it was executed. I think on paper it was a cool idea, but that's a that's a different Michael Myers.
Yeah.
This is there's so many things that are just off.
And yeah,
I
and
digress though.
like we said before, Bright Wrong or Indifferent, uh James G. Courtney and stunt people and all the coordinators and choreographers and all that stuff did a tremendous amount of work to make that happen and look the way
Mhm.
it did. So props to them for that. Not for me, but um again,
Yeah.
I appreciate how much work that must have been. Um so yeah, so one thing that I think is worth pointing out that we talked about like early on is that since we're huge fans of the Rob Zombie films, um, one thing that I think, I don't know if they really had a choice, to be honest. Sometimes I think about it and I'm like, I guess they really didn't. They didn't have a choice in this, but the 18 and kills Myers is like a great value. Tyler Maine. I
Mhm.
mean, he is a great value zombie Myers. And like I said, again, I don't know if it was something that they just had to do because the Tyler Maine Myers existed and people had that was the last bit of Halloween that people had experienced um, that are that were either like introduced to the franchise through his films and introduced to Michael Myers through those films, and they just didn't want it to be. I don't want to say boring, but they didn't want it to be like this this like normal guy that just creeps around and kills. And it needed to be this like 6'4" fucking, you know, super strength guy. Um, so I don't know if they had to do it, but they did. Uh, and that's a huge thing for me with these movies is like there are elements of the shape that are cool, and there's some cool kills, and there's some really cool shots, and he's really menacing in some of those shots, but that is not the shape from 1978. Like the thing that makes 78 so cool is that the shape is just a fucking guy. Like he's just a guy. And he has no direction. Like he's uh just a shadow, you know. That's why it's so cool.
Mhm.
And scary. And then you created this, like I said, a great value, Tyler Maine, who's just like this unstoppable killing machine that's fucking everything up and using grandma's hammers and fucking what it's just like why.
Well, it just goes against with everything that they announced when they announced 2018 and that they were retconning everything and getting back to the essence of the boogeyman. And so I don't really know if they if they really knew what they were doing. Like this trilogy feels like the newer Star Wars trilogy. Like there's a lot of things that look great visually, but there's not a lot of substance. There's
Hmm.
not much cohesiveness, and it doesn't feel like they had their sights on a particular target and end goal. It just feels like, um, hey, here's some Halloween stuff. Remember this, remember that, but it's not done in the way that it needed to be done, and that can be said for Michael Myers. And I love whenever you say it's a great value version of Tyler Maine. And I remember so many fans and people that love Halloween. A lot of people hate Tyler Maine. Well, not
Oh
Tyler
yeah.
Maine, but they hate the Michael Myers and Rob Zombies because it's too brutal. He's too much of a monster. He's not scary. Yeah, right. He's the scariest Michael Myers ever on screen. But they didn't like how brutal and grotesque those movies are. And so from my understanding, that's what the Blumhouse and David Gordon Green were
Oh,
doing with this trilogy. They were getting it back to its roots. And what ups- what upsets me so much is that they cherry pick so much from Rob Zombie's
yeah.
films and from other installments in the franchise, and they throw that into these movies, but they
Hmm.
do it in such a cheaper, lesser way that
Yeah.
is so
That's a good way to say
disrespectful,
it.
disrespectful and cheap to what was established and done beforehand. And
Hmm.
that's another big reason why these movies are trash to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. And
That's just yeah.
if people, I know people are going to say, well, what you just said makes no sense because you love Rob Zombie's films, you love that Michael Myers, but you don't like this brutal, this big, you know, brutal Michael Myers in 18 and Kills. Well, first of all, they're different movies. It's crazy, right? Um, they're like massively different. Rob Zombie's Halloween universe is a his own. It has nothing to do with 78. Um, and which is another reason why I really enjoy it so much because I love that it's its own thing.
Yeah.
And it is it is not a
It
it
knows
is a,
what it is.
yes, yeah. It's not even a retelling. It is a completely different, it is on a different spectrum of existence from 78.
Mhm.
And that's why I like them both because he took that concept and turned it into something and said, you know what, like, yeah, the shape is scary and lurking and creeping, all that stuff is scary. But what if I created this Michael Myers that just is this dominating force of terror and brutality, and um he does, and it's successful, and Tyler does an outstanding job portraying that, and so that's the answer as to why it's not hypocritical because one is its own thing, and then the other one is not supposed to be a departure from the shape from 78. It's supposed to be the same fucking guy, and it's not. It's not. I mean, it's like, and you say this all the time, dude. It's like I don't want to watch, you know, a grandpa wander around, a 6'4" grandpa wander around, you know, killing it
Yeah.
at random. It's just not what I think of when I picture what the shape should be and what Michael Myers should be.
Yeah,
Um, yeah.
what very well said. And Michael Myers in all the previous Halloween movies has a purpose. He has a drive. He has an end goal, and that is so apparent in Rob Zombie's Halloween. And what we're really boasting about Rob Zombie's Halloween, and we'll we'll have its own episode for sure, probably fairly soon to discuss all the reasons why. But yeah, like there's just something about Myers' portrayal and the energy and the story and the feel of Rob's films that feels right. Like everything clicks, everything is just vibrating on a different frequency and plane, and you can feel that. And it's Rob is very the way even if these movies aren't for you, I think you can at least appreciate and respect how how he brought his vision to life in a very unapologetic way, and
Mhm.
they're his movies, as opposed to this Blumhouse trilogy. It just feels like there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen. It feels messy. It feels very contrived, and it feels like they're doing a lot of things to say like, "Hey, isn't this cool? Hey, isn't that cool?" As it just doesn't feel like they're confident in their end product and in what they're doing. It feels it's really hard to articulate and put my finger on, but it's very noticeable, and it's something that I spotted right away in 2018. It just feels weird for a lot of
Yeah.
reasons.
Yeah. Um, One thing I wanted to point out is that I do dig that um, John Carpenter was brought on to do the music. I think that's cool.
Yeah,
Um, Definitely do dig that. And for those of you that don't know, that haven't been on our Instagram lives before, um, I um, had family that lived in Bowling Green, where John Carpenter grew up. He calls it his hometown, and in fact, a lot of things in Kentucky, where I'm from, are referenced in Halloween and his other films. Um, and I've always appreciated that. So I do like. I think the just the element of him being part of those projects are it's cool. And I dig that, and I think that without him and what he's created with the scores for these two films, um, it would it would kind of like, I don't even know what word to use. Like it would feel even less Halloween than it already does.
hmm
Um, so I think that's a cool element. Um, I know that they didn't have to do that, and I don't know how difficult it. Like I've read some about you know John Carpenter and other Halloween filmmakers and their relationship with him, and how it's usually pretty rocky.
yeah,
Um, even in the 80s and 90s, that he he's just hard to work with, I guess, and a lot of artists are. Um, but I do think that whatever amount of work that it took to get him involved um, with these films it's cool that they did that. It's cool that whoever spent the time to get him on board, um, hats off to them, because it is a cool element, and I appreciate it. And I think that his art with his music will be something that lives on for a long time too, beyond his filmmaking. So I think that's a cool element.
definitely a cool element. And you know, while we're in this spot of giving props and um, talking about good stuff, I you know what? I am actually really excited for Halloween Ends.
Yeah,
If you're still listening at this point and you made it this far, I do want to say that I am really looking forward to Halloween Ends. And you're probably like, what? You just
I know.
you just
Yeah, I
shat
was
all over these two
waiting for
films.
this. I was waiting for this part.
Yeah, you just shat all over these two films, and I stand by those comments, and I always will. I'm just so disappointed with these two films, but um, I don't even know how to preface this. So Bert doesn't know um, what
You know
this
what?
movie.
I didn't even think about. I actually completely forgot about
Yeah,
the element that we have going on here.
it's
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 pretty weird.
interesting. It
It's
is
pretty
weird.
weird.
It is weird. So Bert doesn't know what happens in Halloween Ends, and I'm not the type of person that looks for spoilers or wants to know anything about a movie beforehand. But because Kills and H18 let me down so much, I just didn't care. I was so deflated, and I have a buddy of mine who has some sources, if you want to call it that. And anyways, I do know about 90% of what happens in this last film, And when I first heard about it, I was just like, what? Because with each of these three movies, there's an element in it where you're just like, why would you put that in this movie? Like, what are you doing? With H18, it was Sartain and that whole weird mask thing. Like, what is this? And Kills, it was the mental escape patient
Mhm.
and that whole subplot that took an hour. And then with this one, there's something else. However, I feel like this one feels more mature.
It feels different, man.
It feels different.
And I don't know. I don't know anything beyond what I figured out was a spoiler in the first trailer, the short. I wouldn't even call it a trailer. Um, the
Yeah, the little TZT
the
sizzle.
teaser that they put out, yeah. Beyond that, and what I know from some of the stills,
There's a lot coming out
there's a
right now.
lot, yeah. But you know what? They're doing a good job policing them, and if you knew what the general, like, what the first spoiler was, that it they're just kind of like, they're not building off of that. I'm just saying they're they're only putting out like what is kind of involved with that first spoiler,
Sure.
I guess. So they're not like throwing a bunch of shit out there that's going to ruin this movie for people that don't want to know what the spoiler is, or spoilers, I should say. But
Mhm.
I think from what I've seen, it feels completely and utterly different than 18 and Kills. It is uh it feels like Halloween. It feels like spooky season, like it feels like that cold, damp, gritty, um just that vibe you get like when anyone that calls themselves a horror fan or Halloween fan, um, when October 1st rolls around, or anytime in October, and you're scrolling through your channels or something, and Halloween 78's on, and you catch any bit of it, and you just like, it's a feeling, man. It's a vibe. Like, it puts you in a different environment and mood and vibe. For me, it does. And I
Mhm.
think it does it to other people. And I'm
Sure.
getting that from what's being put out for this film so far. I'm getting that feeling of Halloween, and I think that's cool. And I'm looking forward to it. Um, I know I don't know in depth what the spoiler is, or what the spoiler is, what the twist is. I have a vague idea of what it is. And if it turns out that I'm right, then that's cool. I'm actually, that idea initially I thought was really fucking stupid, but now it has grown on me quite a bit. And I like kind of where they seem to be going with some characters that I really hated before.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm really looking forward to it. Gonna shout out my buddy Lee real quick. We're actually planning on using some of his music for our intro here soon once we get that together. But Lee's a big horror guy, loves like B movies, loves 80s horror. But he also fucking hates 18 and Kills, and he is really excited. Like he's asked me about going to see it at the drive-in
Mhm.
like 3 or 4 times now. So, and he texted me yesterday and was like, dude, you know what? I'm actually really excited for Ends. And like, it's really weird for him to say, because he dislikes 18 and Kills either as much as we do, or even more possibly. Um, so the fact that he's excited about it is kind of getting me more stoked on it. Um, but yeah,
It
dude.
it just feels different, and
Mhm.
we could walk out of the theater after seeing it, being like, yeah, that was more of the same, you know.
Yeah.
Oh well. But I don't know, man. I got a feeling, and if you would ask if we would have been talking about this 2 months ago, I wouldn't be saying what I'm saying now. But knowing what I'm saying now and how much it's grown on me, just because of what I've seen, even from the interviews with David Gordon Green, some of the things he said, I'm like, I actually really fucking dig that. That's smart. That's different. I hope they can execute that, and it's just really grown on me in a really cool way. And maybe it's not, how do I want to word this? Maybe why I like it so much, it's not because it feels like quote unquote John Carpenter's Halloween, but it feels like something in the essence of Halloween, the time of the year, the
Yeah.
holiday. Like there's something spooky and dark
The
about
spirit
it.
of it.
The
Yeah.
spirit of
The
Halloween,
spirit of Halloween.
I think was captured in this, and that is how I'm kind of looking at it through a different lens, and that's something I'm really, really looking forward to watching. And yeah, I'll just leave it at that. So I am excited for
Man, I have to point this out, and I don't remember where I read it. So, in the off chance that someone knows, or that the person that said it listens to this, somebody on Instagram, and again, I can't remember who it was, said that David Gordon Green looks like the guy who's upset because Starbucks got his order wrong.
it.
I said that every picture of him, he looks like
It's
the
like,
guy in
yeah,
line at the coffee place that got his order wrong and he's upset about it. And
yeah.
now I can't unsee it. Every time I see a picture of him, I'm like, it's him.
I can hear it.
It's him, dude.
I can see it. I can hear
He's
it. That's too
he's
funny.
he's whining about his that like they use like 2% instead of
Yeah.
whole milk or something. It's like, no, this is supposed to be 2% or whole milk. Like,
I can just yeah. Oh man.
but yeah, Halloween ends. Looking forward to it. Can't believe that it's like 28 days now. 28, 27, 28.
It's
Something like
close,
that.
man. It's getting
I
here
don't even know.
quick.
I don't know what day it is, but it
Excuse me.
I actually don't know what day of the week. Is it Saturday?
Yeah, Saturday.
Okay, Saturday. Yeah. They don't have like different names for the days of the week in California yet.
I don't think so, man. I
Oh,
don't even know
okay.
where.
Oh my gosh, dude.
There's a lot of things out here, though. I can tell you that.
There's a lot of things. Yeah, you're right, dude.
There's all kinds of people, man.
All kinds of man, I do want to touch on that, and we've been talking. We're an hour and 35 in, but it is really cool that you've gotten to check out a lot of the stuff that you've been able to go see while you're there, and I'm super jealous that you've been able to experience the locations there in Pasadena
Yeah.
from 78. I think that's so fucking cool, man. And happy that A, you've gotten to experience those places, B, capture them in really cool ways, and C, share them with all these people on Instagram and the internet and stuff like that. And you've met, people that I feel like you really didn't expect to.
Yeah.
Especially your visit to your beloved H2O locales. So, or
Yeah.
locale, I should say. I think that stuff's awesome, dude. Love that you put that stuff out and that you spend the time to share all of that with people you don't know.
Yeah.
And I think that's cool, man. And it's really cool, and you do really good work. So
Shucks, man.
your
Shucks,
photos and
dude.
videos, man. Your photos and videos are legit. I'm but a wee amateur when it comes to that stuff.
You are not, but thank you for the kind words, man. I won't get into specifics of why I'm here, but I am in Los Angeles for a couple months for some personal reasons, and while I'm out here,
He's shooting a porn movie.
God damn it, Burke, you weren't supposed to say that. Oh, it's gonna be really good.
At directing, written, directed, and he's acting in it too. It's
Yes,
crazy.
it's gonna. I'm so good at so many things. But I've been out here for a few weeks, and it's been tough, man. But you know, I can't stop doing the things that bring me joy, that I love doing, and I'm very lucky and very grateful that I am here and I have a good support system, and I'm able to see these places and do these things because there's so many people that would give anything to see the things that I'm seeing and doing, and so I don't take that for granted, and
Mhm.
just been very lucky, like I said, to see so many places from '78, which we've touched on this, still has that aura, that
Mhm.
energy, and that special,
Yeah.
and that's been beautiful to just sit and take in multiple times and appreciate and just let it embrace you. That's something that I won't ever forget. And even Rob Zombie's places, they're here. Um, Obviously H2O, which circling back to H2O, that's one of my favorite movies of all time. And going to Hillcrest and H2O was the number one place I've always wanted to see, and didn't think I'd ever get to see it because it's a really bougie,
Mhm.
expensive Airbnb and wedding
It's
venue.
it's crazy. We're gonna have to do a location episode.
We will, yeah.
And obviously you're gonna really have to be the one that takes the reins on that one because I'm a lazy piece of shit and I actually hate driving. So, uh, well, the other thing is I hate driving by myself. Like I'm just like insanely bored. But
Oh, I love it.
this guy,
That's where we're
yeah,
different.
yeah,
I love road trips. I love
yeah, not for
solidarity.
me. We got River though, so it's not really you're not alone.
Jesus, yeah, River's
The
my
ri-
dog that I
the River
rescued, and
Dog.
he's a little hippopotamus meat stick tornado. He's wild,
A
but yeah, like
meat stick.
I've seen a lot of cool places, and I've met a lot of nice people out here, and just feel very grateful and lucky.
Man, it's really bizarre, and we talked about this not a ton, but just how weird it is that because of long story short, um, when Kevin gets out there, there was like this just clusterfuck of Murphy's Law situations where shit didn't go how it should have, and people were just people and stupid shit, and he ended up like a mile and a half, 2 miles from a ton of places that are so beloved to him,
Mhm,
and uh, it's just so bizarre. It's just so it's like the odds of that happening, especially in a city like Los Angeles, are like astronomical.
mhm,
That you would end up where you are right now, and I'm a firm believer in that things happen and people are nudged in certain directions by things that we don't understand. And I firmly believe that that is the case for you right now. Um, that you are like you said, you're there for some personal reasons that are not easy, and that you end up somewhere that provides you like some comfort in just that you get to surround yourself with these things that you really love, that you
mhm.
enjoy. So I think that's pretty crazy. Um, not like I said, not to get off on too much of a
It
tangent, but that's
No, you're good. You're good. Life's weird, man. Life's weird how things work out, and um, I wish I was here for different reasons, but I'm still here, and I'm still kicking, man, and
yep, yep.
doing things that I love and that I'm able to do. And so it's so weird being 2 miles from the Myers house, and I do walk there. I try to walk there at least 2 or 3 times a week, and no matter how many times I sit and stare at it, I feel like I can't fully appreciate it and soak it up. It just feels so surreal. It feels so surreal seeing these places, and it feels like I'm not even really here. It's like a out of body experience, and I try to capture it on my camera and phone as much as I can while I'm here, because it's going by really quick. But um, yeah, man, it's life's weird, but
Hmm.
a lot of seeing a lot of cool things right now.
And you're sharing a ton of cool stuff, man. I mean,
Yeah.
by the way, Instagram handles cosmically.creepy and watch horror films. So follow us on there if you don't already. I don't post very much, which I need to start. I'm kind of a social media hater, but I understand in terms of like this community or this niche that you do have to be somewhat engaged. And Kevin's much better at that. Like you're
Well, I'm a social media hater too, man. Don't
right,
don't
right,
get
yeah.
don't get
Well,
twisted.
no,
Like,
not to say that you're not a hater. I mean, you're definitely a hater, but
yeah, not a social media guy.
you're a whole lot better at. I feel like the content that you create is not you know that other people will get as much out of it as you,
Okay, yeah,
and that's why you share it and you share as frequently as you do, because I know that like that's the point of it. You get what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
your
definitely.
point of is to be able to share these things you love that you know other people love.
Exactly. It's that, and it's just memories, man. It's memories, and it's things that matters, and it's things that are really important to myself and to other fans and other people across, the world, really. And so, I created this page as an outlet for myself, for my creativity, and because world's heavy right now, man. It's
Yeah.
heavy for a lot of people, and this has been a really cool place to kind of escape and find a little place of happiness, and where I've met you and a lot of cool people. And so, like I said, I don't take it for granted, and I appreciate people that share my stuff, that like it. Like that's really fucking cool. That's really cool that people resonate with it and that they like it. And
Mhm.
so, thank you.
Speaking, so I figured out Jamie Grove's Instagram name. It's JSGFX Jamie.
Okay.
And Kevin already knows about this, but so I went on a mask buying. We're like, I wouldn't say super impulsive, but we're a little bit impulsive when it comes to buying horror stuff. So
Yeah.
I went on a mask buying binger the past like 4 or 5 days, and ended up picking up another blank of the Trauma Word Killer. Um, so this is what it looks like right now. It's actually a super clean pull. So as I work on it, I will continue to show its progression throughout the episodes. And man, I'm excited about that one. I really am. I
That's a sick
decided,
one.
yeah, dude, his sculpts are badass. I've got another one coming that Kevin knows about. That is, we'll
Fast.
talk about it when it gets here. But it's crazy, and I actually can't believe that I'm going to own it. And I'm saying that because I don't want to jinx myself, because I don't fucking trust UPS or USPS because they lose shit and damage it all the time. But the mask that I got, I it's crazy. I can't believe I got it. So
Yeah, you bastard.
I'll share that.
It'll be unfortunate if something happens to it.
Yeah. Kevin's gonna go intercept it somewhere.
Man, that's really shitty about your mask. I'm sure it'll turn up at some
Damn,
point.
dude, yeah. But yeah, I think we'll have to have an episode where we talk like specifically about special effects and mask making and artists and creators and sculptors and painters and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
give a lot of shout outs and a lot of props to people for their talents and their artistry. I think that's a super important, like,
Yeah, definitely.
side community or whatever you want to call it, in terms of the horror community. So I think a lot of those guys kind of like drive um, the social media realm, which I don't know how they do it, because like I said, I'm a social media hater, but those guys put out like a lot of them, not all of them, but they put out like such cool content and such great photos and video and stuff with their works, and with their art. I mean, and I think it's important. It's an important piece of the horror community puzzle, and it's definitely my favorite piece beyond just the movies. So, yeah, dude. But we're getting close to 2 hours. You
Holy
got any?
shit, we've been talking for 2 hours.
You want to do a couple gripes here?
A couple what?
Close it out with a couple gripes.
Boy, do I, man.
All right,
Gosh.
I'll let you go. I'll let you go first. Then you got any good ones?
Couple gripes, man. Let's see, man. Well, I guess I'll gripe about people that don't know how to drive, and there's a lot of them out here in California, and even people that I have met will tell you that yeah, people out here are awful at driving, and they're either really airheaded or they just don't give a shit, or maybe they're both. But man, they're obviously I'm from the South, and there's a lot more hospitality there. So if people are trying to merge, you let them over. If if I let you in, give me a nice little wave. Give me a nice little wave. I want that wave.
Mhm.
You don't get none of that out here. You don't get any turn
No,
signals.
no.
There's none of that. And so whenever I go anywhere, I have to get in a mindset of like, all right, let's fucking drive somewhere. You know what I mean? Because it's always so like stupid.
Yeah,
That's
I get it.
that's one. That's one.
So I lived in LA very briefly, and so when Kevin talks about LA stuff, I can relate to it. It was a long time ago. It was like 2008. So, but I get it. I don't think LA changes for the better very much, very often. So, I'm sure it's significantly worse than when I was there. So my gripe is kind of bro-ish, but it drives me fucking nuts, dude. Okay, so not recently, 6 months ago, 6 months, yeah, something like that. Started, I gained a bunch of weight. I hurt my back last year, gained a bunch of weight, and I've been kind of like back on my fitness journey, and started going to a new gym, which Kevin knows initially was a clusterfuck, and I was like about to cancel my membership because I was so mad. But um, the place is fine. However, however, I kid you not, there are, and I want to make sure that I'm right here. There are 4 paper towel dispensers that like you push that the paper towel
Oh
comes out,
man.
right? Paper towel comes out. 4 of them, right?
Yeah.
Each one has a full, and they're really good at keeping these things full. Really good, dude.
Yeah.
A full spray bottle of cleaning solution of disinfectant. 4 on either side of this gym, and it's not a big gym. It's like a neighborhood gym, right? It's a Fitness 19, so it's not huge. It's not like a big box gym. And somehow, some way, people still ignore the necessary act of cleaning the fucking machines and benches and stuff off.
Yeah.
Again, it's super bro-ish gripe, but I mean, it would be like if
Yeah.
some sweaty fuckhead like ran a couple miles in the 90-degree heat and then sat down in your car seat
Mm.
for 10 minutes and then got out and didn't wipe it off.
Yeah,
Because
man,
you are
that's
sitting
nasty.
down in your clothes that you're then gonna get in your car, you're gonna go home, like whatever. Like obviously you're not gonna wear your gym clothes all day. But I just don't understand why it is so difficult to
Mhm.
spray a little bit disinfectant on a paper towel and wipe it. Like, what do you do if you don't do that? Like, how gross is How gross is your car?
Yeah.
Like, how gross?
You
How
know it's
gross is
bad.
how gross is your phone? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
if
man.
you can't, dude, it drives me nuts. And the other problem is that a lot of people that use that gym, they have some deal with like one of the high schools that's
Mhm.
nearby, and I guess they like discount the rate, the membership rate, and so there's always like these fucking shithead like 16, 17-year olds in this gym, and they're all friends, so they all just fucking stand around, right? And I can't. It drives me nuts, man. I like. They all have very punchable faces. They all have haircuts like Justin
Oh,
Bieber
yeah.
from like the early 2000s. They all wear like what is the whole like Air Force Ones are popular again? Like white Air Force Ones.
Oh, are they?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, God,
They're a big
man.
thing, man.
I don't know, but I know people God, man, people are so lazy and inconsiderate and rude,
Yeah.
and, it just reminds me of our theater experiences where people
Mhm.
like, even when I went to see Barbarian, movie's great until, like, the last 40 minutes, and there's this guy behind me who is chomping on his popcorn, mouth open, chomping. The whole theater can hear him, and I'm doing this. I'm like I look at him. I do it 3 times, and he sees me, and so I'm like, "Do I say something and, like, make it real awkward for everybody, but maybe he'll shut up? Maybe we'll get in a fight. Maybe he'll throw popcorn on me, but maybe he'll stop."
Oof, that
And
gigantic cotton candy.
God. And so people just do things. They have no self-awareness, or they're just dumb,
Yeah.
and,
I don't know which is
I don't
worse.
get it.
I don't know if like intentional stupidity is worse than someone being oblivious, or if
Mhm.
they're equally as bad, or if it's a mixture of the two, you know? But either way, so people that are listening, please drive in a courteous fashion. Use your turn signals. Um, wave at Kevin if he lets you turn, if he lets
You
you go.
bet God, you better wave.
And damn it, if you don't clean your fucking gym equipment off, I
Yeah,
might punch you in the mouth.
yeah, and close your mouth when
And
you're eating.
close your mouth. Yeah.
Yeah.
And on that note, thank you for listening.
Thank you very
Um,
much. Holy
yeah, but
shit.
seriously, those of you that are still listening, an hour and 55 minutes and 33 seconds in, truly do appreciate you. And this might be one that you have to pause in the middle and catch the other half at another time. But yeah, look forward to doing this again. We're probably going to try to keep them at around an hour and a half in the future, but this one kind of had to be longer just because we needed to get a lot of points across and explain who we are and what we're about. So, yeah.
Hope you dug it. This was fun. This was a long time in the making. If you listen, we really do appreciate it sincerely, and looking forward to chatting all things horror and Halloween ends and Rob Zombie and things that piss us off and food and oh my God, speaking of food,
Oh,
I,
dude. Didn't think
oh
about
man,
food.
I should have stopped. I'm on a gluten-free diet right now, which I have some thoughts about, but I'm on that right
Oh my
now,
God.
so
That just
maybe that's why
immediately
I'm a little
thought
bit
of
more irritable.
this. I just watched This Is the End.
Oh yeah, it's a good movie.
Okay. And the gluten thing
I don't remember that
in the
part.
beginning where he's like, I'm not eating gluten. And he's like, what the fuck do you mean you're not eating? Everything, glutens are everything that are bad. Carbs, they're gluten. Fats, they're a gluten.
Dude, it's in everything.
Oh man. And on that
Anyway,
note, well, I can tell you we'll keep this podcast gluten free.
great.
Although is tea might be gluten, dude. Sugar,
Probably.
sugar. I guess there's sugar. I mean, it's fuck,
I
dude.
don't
I
even
don't
know
know.
what gluten is. I think it's a protein. It's in everything, though. Yeah, the diet's not great,
Well,
but it'll be okay.
all right. Look forward to the next one. Hope everyone has a good week or however long the between time and the episodes are. So,
Hell yeah, eat a big gluten-filled pizza for me.
see you, dude.
Later.